everyone, this is your NFL Commissioner Andy, and it's time for the Fantasy Football Preview for the NFFL. I'm ready to go here. I got my video up, I got my preview up, I got, as you can see, I got my cat sleeping on a chair behind me, so we're ready to go. Unfortunately, I couldn't do a whole preview for all 32 teams. That would have taken about an hour and nobody would have watched. So what I did was I just did the top 10 teams in my estimation. I went through all the rosters and figured out who the top 10 were. But rest assured, if you're not in the top 10, your team is probably number 11. So let's have at it. Coming in at number 10 are the Dallas Cowboys, coached by Doc and Chuck. Spoiler alert, both Doc and Chuck, their other teams, will also appear on this list. The strength of the Cowboys is their two top running backs, Lynch and Rice. They don't seem to have any problem this year being top 10 guys. The only trouble I see that keeps the Cowboys from being ranked a little bit higher is I don't see a lot of touchdowns after Larry Fitzgerald from their receivers. If Hilton and Brown can score some touchdowns, I think the Cowboys can do pretty good. As of now, I see them as a wild card. Same can be said for the number 9 team, George Kaiser's Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles have a pretty good squad overall. The running backs are deep. McFadden, Ivory, Jones, Drew, Bryce Brown, a nice flex guy there. Receivers are real good. Colston, Victor Cruz, and A.J. Green. Sidney Rice, a good bye week fill-in. The problem with the Eagles is their quarterbacks, Terrell Pryor, Alex Smith, and Tannehill. I can see the Eagles winning 9 or 10 games, getting a wild card, and losing into the playoffs when their quarterback gets outscored by 20. Another spoiler alert, George Kaiser also has another team in the AFC, and you will not be seeing his team on this list. The number 8 team in our preseason poll are the Jets. Good, strong backfield with Drew Brees, Ryan Matthews, and DeMarco Murray in there. He also has Eli Manning, maybe for trade bait later. The receivers are pretty decent. Decker and Graham, Deshaun Jackson, Greg Jennings. A pretty decent team, a deep team. Real tough division, though, in the AFC East. But I think the Jets are the one team near the end of the AFC that just ekes into the playoffs. Pretty good team, but probably a little no more than a wild card unless he makes a big trade. Coming in at number 7 on the list, my beloved Carolina Panthers. While it seemed like the rest of the NFC South punted till next year for the first round of the NFC draft, the Panthers scooped up 3 first-round running backs and now have one of the deepest backfields in the entire NFFL. The problem here is the receivers. Austin, Jennings, Wallace, Cook. They're not bad, but they certainly don't instill fear into most teams. I think the Panthers will be good. I think they have a pretty easy division, but I think they're going to have trouble in the playoffs against some of the better teams in the NFC. Speaking of the better teams in the NFC, now we get to some more of the real serious contenders. Coming in at number 6 is the New York Giants. The Giants won the NFC East 3 years in a row until last year, and I think the Giants are going to come back this year. Steven Jackson, Ryan Matthews, DeMarco Murray, Green Ellis, good running backs. Eli's a solid quarterback. Andre Johnson, Wayne, and Decker. You got Witten in there. Real good receivers. I think the Giants, even though they have a tough division in the NFC East, I think the Giants are going to win the NFC East, and they're going to challenge, probably end up playing in the NFC Championship. Real good team for the Giants this year. Like the Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers also won their division 3 years in a row before stumbling last year. But they're back. Chuck traded up with Todd after Todd traded with me to get the number 3 pick and take Foster. And now Chuck has both Foster and Peterson and Matt Ryan. Not to mention David Wilson, Larry Fitzgerald. A real good team. Josh Gordon comes back from suspension. I think he'll score a bunch of touchdowns. The Steelers are real good. They're real deep. Chuck would be willing to make a move, I bet, for maybe a better third receiver. But the Steelers are going to be real good this year, and in another year they might be the favorite. But the AFC is so deep this year, they're just number 5 overall. The same can be said for the next team, Doc's Buffalo Bills. Man, this is a good team. You got Ray Rice and Trent Richardson, 2 big-time running backs. And you got Des Bryant, you got Romo and Luck at quarterback in case something happens there. The Bills may be the best team in the NFL when all is said and done, but as of right now, they're just not the best team in their own division, just by a hair. Jones and Torrey Smith and maybe Stephen Hill, decent receivers, but not big time enough to make him the number 1 pick. Coming in at number 3 overall and probably number 1 in the NFC is Timmy Stahl's St. Louis Rams, coming off 3 consecutive NFC West titles. I don't think the Rams are going to have any problem making it number 4. Forte, Morris, and Ridley. Wow, great running backs there. And then you look at the receivers. Vincent Jackson, Roddy White, Rob Gronkowski. Great receivers there. You got even a couple decent tight ends to throw in on bye weeks. If there's just a little bit of a criticism of the Rams, it's Dalton and Roethlisberger. Not bad, but they're more like your 13th, 14th highest rated quarterback. He doesn't have a Breeze or a Brady in there that would make him a super team. But the Rams are probably the favorite to win the NFC, probably represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, and get crushed by one of the next 2 teams. The first of those next 2 teams, of course, is my New England Patriots. It hurts that I can't rank myself number 1, but I have to go number 2. Still, real good deep team, a lot of good running backs. I think Bell's going to help out later. Real good receivers, Julio Jones, Jordy Nelson, Demaryius Thomas, Reggie Wayne. Patriots in a tough division in the NFC or the AFC East, but I think they'll be real good. I think they'll win 11, 12, 13 games and have a chance to win it all. Unfortunately, they won't win it all, probably because of one man. And that man is Colts owner, coach, captain, Matt Balliet. I thought it was great that the Patriots have 7 of the top 50 guys on their roster. That pales in comparison. The Colts have 9 of the top 50 guys. Man, if you look at their lineup during a non-bye weeks, they could sit Chris Johnson and Colston and Garcon or something every week. This team is good. It's deep. I said this at the draft. Matt Balliet, over the last couple months, has done this league the way it needs to be done better than I've seen anyone do it. He just keeps acquiring assets, and his team is so good and so deep. And the division, he's so weak. I mean, I don't think there's any problem. It's going to be real good in the AFC, seeing the Colts, Patriots, Steelers, Bills all battling each other at the end. But I think just with the depth that he has, I think the Colts are the preseason number 1 and most likely to take home the hardware next season.